Good evening, class. Tonight I want to speak on an issue that is going to become even more prevalent probably as this election year draws to a close, and it's something that I've felt very passionate about for years. It's the one thing I learned about in government that has stuck with me more than anything, because our country constantly campaigns for democracy in different countries and that are oppressed and everything else. They want to give the people the right to vote and everything else. Well, when you look at, in the broad scheme of things, when you look at democracy, it's the people making the choices. Well, we have what is established, and what my topic is going to be about is the Electoral College. And in some ways, it seems like it really helps, but it fundamentally takes away the right or the power of our votes. So a lot of times we have all these different campaigns. You have the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, but you also have Libertarian. You have the Green Party. You have different type of parties that are considered third parties that don't necessarily even have a chance, because there has never been a third party that has ever made it to the presidency, ever. Okay, for the most part, I mean, when it comes down to our votes, and you look at, okay, well, let's get everybody out to vote. Let's get everybody out to vote. You have all these actors and musicians and everybody else doing these rallies to get people out to vote. And to me, I do vote, but I also feel in my heart, where's the seriousness of our vote? How does it carry weight? Because you have electoral college that's established. So what that does is it gives it gives different outcomes to different presidencies. Approximately out of, let's just say, 100 million people that vote, 80 million of those don't even matter in the big scheme of things. If you go to fairvote.com, you can see that they have a extensive, in detail look at exactly that. Is that 100 out of 100 million votes, you have 80 that are not even 80 million that are not even needed or going to even be used. I mean, it truly favors a two-party system versus anybody being able to run for president. With that being said, it is possible for people to win without winning a majority of the popular vote. I mean, it's happened as recently, as in the last decade it's happened. I mean, so a lot of times third parties are looked at in a way to where they come into a state. Look at the 2000 election with Al Gore and George Bush. Florida was the one state that swung the whole presidency, and that was helped out by Ralph Nader as well. He took just enough percentage from what Al Gore needed to give Bush the state that he needed to get the electoral votes that he needed. I mean, when you look at it and you look, it's so hard for people to look at on TV, when they're watching the campaigns and the primaries and everything else, and they're thinking, okay, well, what's going to happen with this? I'm not understanding why is it that this one little county in Rhode Island, if Hillary Clinton wins this one, she gets more electoral votes, and I mean, or she'll win that state from Bernie Sanders. It's crazy, because they give so much power to certain little states and everything else that it really it's not a fair system. Especially if you're someone who believes that democracy should be a general vote where people vote, and that's what happens. The Minnesota Post, in an article, 10 Reasons Why the Electoral College is a Problem, it also talked about the Al Gore, that's where the Al Gore came in with Ralph Nader and everything else. So I mean, it's things that you can go and look up. It's not things that I'm just making up because I'm partial to I'm a freedom fighter and everything else, because I truly am. I'm more of a libertarian than I am a Republican or Democrat. But if I had to sway one or the other, it'd be more towards Republican side. Definitely not a Democrat. But that doesn't make me or you any different of a person. It just, you like the policies that they represent. I understand that. But what if you have a campaign that's set up, or a presidential election that's set up to where you could go and vote and it doesn't even matter? I mean, there would be more people turn out if people believed that their vote truly mattered. And that's the whole point of all of this. Is what is the deal with the electoral college? You know, so for instance, if you go to theweek.com, we're halfway. You know, excuse me. Let me rephrase that. Go to the Huffington Post. Why we in an article entitled "Why We Should Abolish the Electoral College." It's simple. By getting rid of the Electoral College, every vote would carry weight, and the will of the American people would be executed and honored. I mean, that right there in itself is what is the point that I'm trying to drive home, and it's not just me that feels that way. I mean, there are a lot of people out there that truly feel the same way. You've never. So when it comes down to it, you look at our country as a whole. Look at all the people that are divided one way or another. Okay, what if 65% of the people voted in a general election? The popular vote said, "Hey, we're going to vote for this guy." So that tells you that most of the country wanted that guy, but all of a sudden, now that guy is not going to be president. I mean, what does that tell you? That tells me personally, it tells me that our votes don't matter. But then there are others that try and oppose it, and they argue and say, well, there's smaller states that need to be represented and whatnot, and people vote for the senators and the House representatives. They vote. The people vote for all of them. So it is the people that are voting. It's not true. It's not true when it comes to general election. Yes, we vote and put them in office. Then their vote. They could choose to not vote for which way their state weighs heavy towards. Like a candidate, the popular vote says vote for this guy. They could choose not to. In several states, they could choose not to vote for that representative that their general population in their state wants to elect. It's crazy. So I mean, in closing, there was something that came out in that was interesting to me, and it's on theweek.com. It says it's entitled "We're halfway to eliminating the Electoral College." I had to read it because it got me excited, and it goes back to that small, tiny little state that I was talking about of Rhode Island. They recently were the first one to sign the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. Okay, what this is going to do, it's going to take all the states that what they want to do is their award electoral votes based on the popular vote in their state. The only problem with that is it will not take into effect. It will not go into effect until at least 50% of the electoral votes are counted for by different states. Because then, if those states, you vote in those states and their electoral votes go directly towards whatever candidate it is that was the popular vote, those electoral votes will go towards that candidate. And it's based off popular vote, and they will win the presidency because they'll win 50% more, or 50% or more of the popular vote. The one interesting thing about it is there's 538 total electoral votes. Rhode Island itself carries 136 of those votes, and you only need half of them to become president. So I mean, we're well on our way to getting rid of something that has been a problem from the beginning. It gives away the power of our votes. So with that being said, we would then truly have a pure democracy instead of a democracy of hypocrisy. That's what I like to call it, because no matter how we vote or what they say they're going to do, how we feel as citizens, we will get out, we will vote. We will vote if we know our vote carries weight. I mean, you have a lot of people that don't. They say they do, but they don't, because they think that their vote does not matter for anything because, oh, well, my state's going to weigh towards Hillary Clinton or a Democrat. My state's going to go toward it. Doesn't matter what I do. It does matter if every vote counts instead of the electoral votes. It does matter. So with that being said, I'm glad I got to bring this topic up for my last speech to do. I wish it could be better. I'm a little under the weather, but this has been a great class, and if you see it out there, push to get rid of the Electoral College. Let's have a pure democracy that's for the people, by the people, and it's all coming from the people, not people that decide whichever way they want to go. Okay? So with that being said, have a good evening.